Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to stop seeking the world's approval and finally own your self-worth in total silence? Imagine if real confidence didn't shout but whispered, shaping your life from the inside out, unshakable, unobserved, and real. Discover how you can master this quiet strength and become immune to the need for constant validation. Stop needing constant validation today. Stoic Self-Worth, compiled and published by Stoic Bloom. Lesson 1. Root strength in inner standards. Imagine a lone mountain rising steadfast above rolling clouds at dawn, immovable and untouched by the fleeting storms around its summit. Its granite core endures through seasons, undisturbed by tempests or the passing of sunlight. In many ways, this is what your inner strength could become, a power sourced from within, rather than a reflection straining for recognition from the outside world. In the quiet prelude before today truly begins, you may find yourself questioning, where does my value reside? How resilient is my self-worth when the daily noise demands my constant response, my eager agreement, my affirmation-seeking gaze? Just as the mountain does not lean to catch praise or tremble before criticism, your worth can become self-rooted, unyielding, even when pulled by shifting winds. For many, the inner conflict is as subtle as it is corrosive. Your sense of pride, rising and falling, with every compliment received or criticism overheard. You might have felt that uneasy flutter in your chest after posting something brave online, waiting for an affirming like, or maybe in the ache of disappointment when your small victories go unnoticed at work or home. The modern world whispers a constant invitation to measure yourself through others' cheers or frowns, asking you to build your house of confidence on a trembling foundation. The problem lies quietly embedded in daily life. The craving to have your worth confirmed and measured by what you hear and see from others, leaving you helplessly reactive to their shifting opinions. Like an archer shooting for an ever-moving target, you rarely find firmly centered satisfaction, and your confidence may crash down with the first offhand remark or misunderstood silence. But what if you could reverse this pattern at its source, planting the roots of your self-worth deep within soil that no external wind can reach? The transformative way forward is found in anchoring your strength in inner standards, principles and values chosen consciously, cultivated quietly, and held like an unbreakable vow that no one else can grant or revoke. Here, you set the measure of your significance by the steadiness of your discipline, the clarity of your intentions, the integrity with which you hold to your truths, even when unseen, even when unthanked. This approach is not about rejecting feedback or social warmth, but about liberating your spirit from the leash of eternal seeking and uncontrollable reactions. When you nourish your worth from within, external events become weather passing over your mountain, unable to erode its foundation. Practicing this core idea begins with an inner declaration. My standards define me, not others' fleeting applause. Imagine a ship navigating silent seas at night, its compass guided by true north, not by the passing echoes of distant storms. By choosing your own true north, principles such as honesty, courage, or growth, and committing quietly to live by them, your emotional state stabilizes and your sense of self grows both resilient and quietly magnetic. Day by day, decision by decision, you train your mind to be accountable to only this inner compass. As your roots press deeper, praise becomes a pleasant sunbeam, but not your vital rain. Criticism a passing shadow, but not a binding chain. You will find a calm, silent fire burning within, a strength that signals quiet assurance, attracting respect and admiration without the desperate effort or noisy displays. Embracing this wisdom opens a whole new realm of freedom. When you let your standards become your fortress and your source of light, fear of rejection loses its grip, comparison fades, and your emotions answer to your chosen core rather than to those who pass by. You discover a patient, undefeated spirit guiding you through each emotional trial, turning every encounter into another stone solidifying your foundation. This is the ancient Stoic mastery reborn for you, rooting your significance where storms cannot reach, and letting that quiet power shape how you walk through the world. To start, reflect on your core values and write them down, letting these become your daily guide. Check your actions each evening, measuring them only against your chosen standards. As you root yourself within, your emotional balance will strengthen, and moments of insecurity will fade. Embrace this practice, and remember, true growth is a daily journey, not a destination. In our next lesson, you'll discover how to recognize and transform your craving for praise. Stay tuned, and if you're learning, support our channel by subscribing, liking, or sharing your thoughts in the comments below. Lesson 2. Identify the craving for praise. Picture a vast open field at sunset, where a single wildflower lifts its face to the fading light, untouched by the eyes of others. Its beauty does not bloom for applause or recognition, yet it radiates softly, content just to exist and stretch toward the warming glow. Now, contrast this serenity with the restless energy so many of us feel, a pulse inside that seems to whisper, "See me, notice me, please tell me I am enough." In a world that constantly reflects us back to ourselves, pursuing validation can feel like rowing desperately upstream. Every stroke motivated not by a steady current within, but by a hunger for something only others can deliver. Praise. This silent craving can linger from the moment you open your eyes, guiding your choices, shadowing your accomplishments, and shaping how you feel about yourself, minute by minute. At the heart of this very human struggle lies a quiet tension. Perhaps you recognize it from the moment you press send on a message and watch for a reply, or when you try something new and immediately scan the room for approval. Maybe it's there after a long day, when the silence following your efforts feels heavy, and you yearn for someone to notice. The inner conflict is a longing to be seen, complemented by the anxiety that you may not measure up unless others confirm your worth aloud. On days when praise is absent or quiet, self-doubt creeps in, and your spirit feels as fragile as a glass sculpture set out in a thunderstorm. Left unchecked, this craving doesn't merely leave you empty. It pulls your attention outward, scattering your focus and draining your ability to stand solid and undefeatable in yourself. This search for praise can be exhausting, a pursuit of soft gold that slips through your fingers no matter how hard you try to hold it. You become keenly aware of subtle shifts in tone, a friend's distracted gaze, or feedback that falls short of glowing. The emotional toll runs deep, robbing your inner peace and sense of control. You are not alone in this. Everyone at some time has brushed up against this invisible hunger and felt its weight, even those whose outer confidence seems impenetrable. The unspoken fear is that in the absence of acknowledgement, you will somehow fade from relevance and be left unseen and unheard, as if applause itself is the final proof that you matter. It is a silent tug-of-war, each side of your mind vying for serenity and reassurance, longing for release from the pattern, but unsure how to let go. Here's where transformation begins, by daring to see this craving not as a flaw, but as a call to mastery. The Stoic wisdom invites you to look boldly inward and identify this need with honesty and compassion, seeing it as part of the human journey, not its destination. Gently, you begin to separate the desire for friendly recognition from the anxiety-driven compulsion for constant affirmation. Instead of allowing the absence of praise to define your sense of worth, you train your mind as a silent archer, learning to witness these urges as flowing river currents, acknowledging their presence but not driven away by them. Naming the craving dissolves much of its power. By doing this work, you unlock an emotional freedom that feels almost ancient, found in the stillness of philosophers and the quiet determination of those who move through life untouched by others' shifting moods. Your spirit becomes steadier, your emotions less reactive, and the internal fire that is your self-respect glows with a strength that needs no audience. With every moment you identify and gently release the grasp for praise, you recover more of your own authority, unlocking self-mastery that is not only attractive, but undefeatable. A silent Stoic strength that transforms the craving for applause into true inner validation. Begin by noticing moments you seek praise, pause, and gently redirect your focus to your inner goals. Celebrate quiet victories. As you practice, you'll gain emotional stability and self-assurance from within. Start this mindful exercise today. Up next, we'll explore letting silence itself confirm your worth. Subscribe or comment to share your journey with us. Lesson 3. Let silence affirm your worth. Picture a silent forest at dawn, dew trembling on every leaf as the first light of day softly bathes the world. In that hush, before birds call or wind stirs, there is a profound sense of presence. It is in this silent embrace that strength quietly gathers, unseen but immovable. Imagine if your sense of worth could arise from this very stillness, a firm, living root in the boundless quiet, shaped not by noise or acclaim, but by the truth you hold alone within yourself. So often, the world tells us to equate validation with sound. Claps of approval, the chatter of praise, the steady hum of reassurance from those around us. And yet, the deepest kinds of resilience are born not from echo, but from a persistent, sacred silence. The kind that, like rich earth, shapes and supports whatever grows atop it. Most of us know too well the restlessness that fills silent spaces. When you pour your effort into something and the world responds with a hush. No feedback, no recognition, only the empty air. A small, prickling anxiety can take root. Inside, there's a quiet hope that your worth will be witnessed, confirmed, reflected back. When that does not happen, doubt grows like a shadow stretching across your mind. The moments after you share a heartfelt idea with friends, or bravely step outside your comfort zone at work, and yet receive only silence in return, can sometimes feel sharper than any criticism. Many internalize these silences as judgment or neglect, assuming absence of praise must mean inadequacy. The mind becomes a ship adrift on a windless night, listening for a distant call and unsettled by the stillness. This problem wears many faces. The discomfort in waiting for a reply to an important message, the emptiness after a brave decision meets with no response, or the self-doubt that lingers when social applause fades quickly. For some, silence becomes a sign of invisibility, an unwanted mirror held up to their efforts, quietly suggesting that what you do, who you are, might not matter unless it is seen and named by others. The pull to fill those quiet gaps, whether with further explanation or frantic attempts to solicit feedback, is fierce. Yet, succumbing to it again and again only deepens your dependence on external signals, unsettling the inner foundation you are working to build. Here lies a radical shift. Let the silence itself become the space where your worth is acknowledged most deeply. Instead of recoiling from these silent moments, step into them as a trained archer enters the stillness before releasing the arrow. Steadied, tuned inward, fully present. The solution is both brave and ancient. Embrace silence as evidence of your own sufficiency. Recognize each quiet aftermath as an opportunity for growth, a chance to stand centered in who you are rather than who others declare you to be. This is not neglect, it's confidence distilled to its purest form. Undaunted by the lack of noise, you let your own awareness affirm your path. To master this practice, it helps to think of your personal discipline as a glowing coal, alive with steady heat beneath layers of ash. The fire does not rage to be noticed, nor beg for fuel from the outside. It burns because it is built rightly, maintained from within. Each time you accomplish something meaningful, and the world responds only with silence, challenge yourself to celebrate quietly, to recognize the value without waiting for an echo. Allow your mind to dwell on your intentions and the integrity behind your actions, knowing that their worth is not diminished or inflated by how loudly others respond. This discipline, once rare and reserved for philosophers or mystics, is available to you every day when you interpret silence as neither rejection nor acceptance, but a clear mirror reflecting your undimmed value. In accepting silence, you unlock a new room within yourself, one filled with calm, understanding, and undefeated resolve. Your emotional control flourishes as fear of being invisible fades, replaced by a surer knowledge of your continuous growth. The quieter your validation becomes, the stronger your inner voice. Let it remind you, sometimes, the greatest impact occurs in the spaces between sounds, where your self-worth grows unobserved and unbreakable. Whenever you do something valuable, pause and let silent self-recognition be your reward. Journal these moments each night and reflect on your steady progress. As you practice, you'll build calm confidence that doesn't depend on others. Next, discover how to own your decisions boldly. Subscribe or comment to share your thoughts. We value your journey. Lesson 4. Own your decisions without applause. Envision a lantern bearer walking through a vast and silent wilderness at midnight, each step taken with quiet intent, their path illuminated only by the light they carry themselves. Every choice they make, every turn or pause, is decided alone and without witness. Yet the journey continues with unwavering focus. This image reveals a rare strength, the kind found in those who trust their own decisions and do not falter in the absence of an approving crowd. It calls to a place inside each of us where certainty can thrive, independent of cheers or onlookers. The power to own your decisions without requiring applause is at the heart of emotional control, quiet strength, and a life lived authentically. The inner conflict for so many is subtle, yet persistent. You find yourself at a crossroads, perhaps considering a new job, expressing your values, or even making small but meaningful changes to a daily habit. You weigh options carefully, but under the surface, a need for outside validation tugs at your will. You unconsciously pause, searching for validation in a friend's expression, an online like, or the chance word of a mentor. In a chorus of opinions, you sometimes lose the faint but crucial voice of your intuition. And when the applause does not come, you second-guess your choices. This is not weakness. It is part of the shared human experience, yet it is also fuel for insecurity and self-doubt. Such challenges mount over time. When you act and the world responds with silence, uncertainty can creep in. Was your decision right? Should you have chosen differently? The mind replays moments, looking for hints or applause in each memory, as if they alone can assure you of your competence or worthiness. Life becomes an endless audition where you are both the performer and your harshest critic. Every unacknowledged success, every unseen act of courage becomes heavy with questions because you have not learned the habit of recognizing and validating your own path. Under this pressure, fear grows stealthily. The fear of standing out, the fear of getting it wrong, and more than anything, the fear of traveling alone. Yet within this struggle is a profound opportunity to reclaim your agency. The transformative solution is to adopt an internal posture where every decision is first owned, validated, and cherished by you, regardless of applause. This is not stubbornness or arrogance, but the cultivation of an inner compass, an enduring sense of direction that holds steady like a ship steering by the stars rather than the shouts of a passing crowd. Imagine yourself as an archer, drawing your bow in a windless clearing, sighting a target set by your own values, and releasing without looking back for acknowledgement. You know your intent, you know your aim, and that alone gives the action meaning. The essence of this approach is self-trust. It is the ability to listen for the inner yes, to weigh counsel and opinions when needed, yet ultimately to give final authority to your best judgment. With practice, this internal validation becomes second nature. The immediate benefit is liberation from the seesaw of outside approval. Each choice you make feels more congruent, nourished by your truth rather than borrowed applause, leaving you less vulnerable to remorse, regret, or the churning tides of public opinion. Embracing this mindset brings emotional stability, the confidence to try new things, and a quietly attractive presence, grounded and genuine. If this teaching sounds remote or reserved for ancient philosophers and Stoics, remember that the true test is not radical isolation, but the quiet discipline to check in with yourself first and last. Self-affirmation does not dismiss connection or feedback, but puts your primary loyalty inwards. You become over time the kind of person who lives undefeated and unfazed, your mind trained to trust its own wisdom, and your spirit unafraid to act alone. The ancient power of owning your decisions without applause is not a relic of the past. It is a living, accessible practice, ready to light your path whenever you choose to walk bravely onward. Whenever you make a decision, pause to affirm it inwardly before seeking others' approval. Record your choices and recognize your progress privately. As you practice, confidence and self-trust will grow, freeing you from the need for praise. In the next lesson, discover the secret to defining success on your terms. Subscribe or comment. We value your unique journey. Lesson 5. Redefine success without recognition. Imagine a lighthouse standing alone on a rocky coastline, its beam unwavering through the thick mist and pounding surf. It does not look to the clamor of ships for assurance of its purpose. It serves with quiet resolve, shining its light regardless of whether anyone is there to witness. Many of us long for this silent strength. We want to feel the fulfillment of our achievements even when the tide brings no applause, yet there is a persistent ache when our hard work seems to go unnoticed. There is a subtle pain in pouring your effort, your intention, and your care into a task, only to feel that without recognition, its value is somehow erased or diminished. Within each of us is a longing to feel that what we do matters, that our striving is worthwhile. Growing up, we're often taught to measure success through others' eyes. The grade on a paper, the smile from a mentor, the paycheck, the promotion, the applause at the end of the performance. These are tangible but fleeting markers, and when they are absent, doubt quietly expands. How many times have you caught yourself looking around for approval before allowing yourself to enjoy what you've accomplished? Or perhaps, after a moment of courage, you feel disappointment that no one noticed. The echo of this disappointment can sap your energy, leaving you reluctant to try again unless you are sure someone will notice. It is as if you are the archer who never releases the arrow without an audience, holding back your full self until attention is guaranteed. This silent allegiance to recognition shapes the patterns of your choices and emotions more than you may realize. You might choose paths that you believe will garner respect rather than those that genuinely resonate with your heart. Fear of invisibility can make you shrink from risks or question your successes if they aren't publicly acknowledged. Even your definition of achievement may be unwittingly borrowed, colored by the standards of others rather than set by the internal compass of your values and vision. In this way, recognition becomes not just an external bonus, but the very scale against which you measure your worth. And this fragile scale can tip out of balance with a single word or a missing round of applause. The way through this maze is a simple, transformative act. Redefining success quietly within by measuring yourself against your own standards and milestones. Imagine the steady warmth of the fire burning within a disciplined soul, alive not because others gather near, but because it is fed by a clear sense of purpose and integrity. Real success becomes not a certificate you hold up for others, but a certainty you feel even in solitude. This shift begins with reflection. What, you must ask, is truly meaningful to you? Where do you want to direct your talents and efforts, regardless of who is watching? Set goals that feel right for you, ones that bring you peace when you achieve them, whether the world watches or not. As you embrace this inward focus, your mind becomes less reactive to the applause or indifference of those around you. You regain emotional control, anchoring your self-respect in your personal definition of living well. The benefits are far-reaching. No longer held captive by the shifting approval of the crowd, you become motivated by growth, learning, and quiet integrity. You unlock more courage to take risks, to try new things, and to persevere beyond the fickle tides of recognition. In time, the light you shine, like that of the solitary lighthouse, becomes its own affirmation, steadfast and clear regardless of circumstance. If the idea of redefining success seems daunting or even lonely, remember that this is the art of the silent Stoic, training your mind to celebrate victories that are authentic, however invisible. Anchored in quiet confidence, you become undefeatable, free to live by your truest standards, attracting respect not by noise, but by the rare and steady power of one who honors their own journey. Set personal goals that align with your values and celebrate your progress in private. Reflect daily on what success means to you, independent of others' recognition. Practicing this brings clarity and self-respect, making your confidence unshakable. Next, learn to detach from others' opinions. Subscribe or share your story below. We grow stronger together on this journey. Lesson 6. Practice detachment from opinions. Imagine a tall ship cutting through open waters at twilight. Clouds gather on the horizon, the winds shift unpredictably, yet the crew remains steady, guided not by the urgent signals of passing vessels, but by their own star charts and quietly honed instincts. They know that if they steered with every shout or passing cry from other ships, they would drift for miles, lost to unseen currents and never reach their true port. Most of us know this feeling. In everyday life, we are buffeted by opinions. The pointed remark from a stranger, the raised eyebrow of a colleague, the fleeting praise from a friend, or the judgment woven into silence on social media. We yearn for the freedom of the captain, charting our course with steady hands in spite of, perhaps even because of, the surrounding noise. Beneath our outer composure, there is often a roiling sea of self-doubt, sometimes obvious, sometimes hidden beneath practiced calm. You might find yourself replaying a casual comment for hours, feeling a sting from criticism that lingers far beyond its intended moment, or catching yourself acting differently just to avoid possible judgment. This is a deeply human conflict. We crave affirmation and harmony, but we also want to live authentically. The struggle is at its sharpest when outside opinions clash with inner values, or when you worry that without social approval, your contributions, and maybe even your very self, are insignificant. You want to master your emotions, to be undefeated by gossip or the unpredictable tides of criticism. But too often you find yourself tossed about, anxiously gauging your value by those unpredictable winds. The problem presents itself in hundreds of little ways. Perhaps you hesitate to voice your true thoughts in a meeting because a louder personality might disapprove. Maybe you let an unsupportive friend shape your choices, or your confidence wavers when you do not meet someone else's expectations. Public opinion can become a storm, pushing you away from your natural path and trapping your authentic self beneath the surface. This constant monitoring of how you are seen, often without your realizing, is exhausting, draining your emotional energy and stealing your peace. It is as if your soul becomes a small boat in a restless current, unable to drop anchor or enjoy the quiet waters that could be yours. The solution is an act of elegant courage and ancient wisdom, the practice of detaching your self-worth from passing opinions. This Stoic principle asks you to become the archer, aiming at your own chosen target, not swayed by the crowds around you, but guided wholly by your intention, discipline, and values. Detachment here is not withdrawal, it is engagement with life as you are, using feedback as information, but refusing to let external judgments determine your core identity. Instead of feeling defined by every passing word, you remain anchored within, weighing feedback thoughtfully, but ultimately navigating with your own compass. As you begin to apply this mindset, a beautiful transformation unfolds. Your mood steadies, insults lose their sting, and praise becomes a gentle breeze, not the force that steers your ship. You find the freedom to act bravely in the ways that matter most, growing ever more resilient each time you honor your truth despite what others may think. In time, your confidence becomes quietly magnetic, and your emotional control becomes undeniable. The inner fire that guides you, the discipline of a silent Stoic, burns brighter each day, unlocked by the simple, radical act of no longer giving others the keys to your sense of self. If the advice to not care what others think has always sounded naive or impossible, realize that detachment has nothing to do with arrogance. It is about giving yourself permission to hold your power within, about walking your personal path with grace and intention. This is how you master your emotions, become unshakable in the face of others' judgments, and finally unlock the calm resilience you were born to embody. In this practice, you leave behind the role of castaway and become again the ship's captain, steering for your own horizon at last. Next time you receive an opinion, pause and ask yourself if it aligns with your true values. Practice gentle reflection each day, letting your actions flow from inner conviction. You'll enjoy deeper peace, confidence, and freedom. In our next lesson, we'll help you radiate value through quiet confidence. Subscribe, like, or share your thoughts below to inspire others. Lesson 7. Radiate value through quiet confidence. Picture a candle burning in the deep stillness of night. Its glow is neither loud nor urgent, yet it quietly lights the room, softening shadows and drawing people toward its warmth. The candle's value is undeniable, not because it outshines the sun, but because it simply stands in its own brightness, unwavering and real. Many strive for this kind of presence, longing not for blinding brilliance or noisy admiration, but for the authentic radiance that comes from trusting themselves in silence. It is a quiet magnetism, felt rather than announced, that inspires calm respect and deep trust in anyone near. Yet, for most people, self-worth is closely tied to being seen or acknowledged. If there's no feedback or fanfare, self-doubt creeps in. Have you ever entered a room and felt an urge to prove yourself or impress others before you even speak? Have you forced a smile, added noise, or overshared just to ensure people would pay attention? There's an invisible tension inside, a tug-of-war between the longing to be noticed and the discomfort of having your true self misunderstood or overlooked. When craving validation, some display value in ways that feel unnatural, quietly worrying that their light will go unseen in a loud world. This push and pull can be draining, making ordinary interactions feel like trials where self-esteem is always at stake. Instead of inhabiting moments with a peaceful sense of belonging, you might find yourself subtly performing, overthinking your words, monitoring every sign of others' interest, or hiding authentic thoughts to mirror what's expected. At its worst, this effort can leave you feeling invisible, even when you're surrounded by others. You may end days wondering if you did enough, said enough, or were enough, all while the deepest parts of you remain quietly locked away. But there is a gentler, more potent way, a transformation anchored in quiet, stoic confidence. This powerful shift happens when you stop trying to announce your worth and begin to simply embody it. Rather than forcing brightness, you allow your own presence to speak, much like an archer standing ready, her discipline silently evident to anyone watching. The key is not to strive for attention, but to carry yourself in alignment with your values, intentions, and quiet pride in your abilities. Quiet confidence is alive. It emanates naturally when you know what you stand for, treat yourself with quiet respect, and move through decisions without relying on external encouragement. Imagine the still fire burning inside someone who knows her truth regardless of outside noise. A poised composure that turns heads, not because it shouts, but because it feels both steady and inviting. Others sense this and instinctively respect it, often more deeply than words or deeds meant solely to impress. Training your mind to recognize and trust your value, even when uncelebrated, creates a ripple effect. You attract genuine relationships and opportunities that are drawn to your authenticity. This is mastery over your emotions and social fears, a release from needing proof or applause before acting in alignment with who you truly are. To foster this inner state, practice pausing before entering social settings, grounding yourself in your intentions. Remind yourself of your recent quiet wins, or simply embrace the power of your presence. As you move through your day, walk and speak from this center. Let your character show in your steady eyes and gentle reassurance, not just through words. Over time, you'll witness a remarkable shift. The effort of proving yourself dissolves into calm, deliberate action, and your aura draws people in without force or performance. Quiet confidence is a discipline, and like a still ship in a peaceful harbor, it does not chase attention, but anchors deeply. The courage to remain silent, stoic, to project value through action and inner calm, is both ancient and refreshingly radical in a distracted world. In this way, you become undefeatable, not by shouting to the sky, but by letting your consistent presence offer a subtle, enduring invitation. Come closer, there's a steady light here. This is how you attract respect, partnership, and opportunity, living as proof that real impact begins quietly within and emanates outward, certain, and serene. Begin each day by silently acknowledging your inner qualities and setting an intention to act from quiet strength. Notice moments when you feel steady rather than seeking approval. As you embody this, you'll cultivate genuine confidence, deeper calm, and attract authentic respect. Practice daily and watch your self-worth radiate, untouched by noise or circumstance. Thank you for joining this transformative journey towards stoic self-worth. By rooting your strength within, freeing yourself from the need for external validation, and nurturing quiet confidence, you step into a life of true emotional mastery. If this message inspired you, please like, comment, and subscribe to support our channel's growth.